Guess that has run out of fuel. Have a feeling we're going to need that today. So I recorded a video for this new Zorro lighter. I recorded a couple of videos, update videos on the fuel economy. And I honestly don't, I think it's been about 2 or 3, it may have been Friday, so about 2 days ago, I guess, 3 days. I don't even remember the time of day, so. But anyway, when I recorded those little update shorts, I think both of them were. But I honestly don't know whether it will ignite today. So I think that was the 5th when I did that, which meant that it had been fueled for about 31, 32, maybe 33 days, something like that. A little over a month. Yeah, last month was March, so that's a full month. Anyway, we're going to strike it up here in a little bit and see whether it's still got fuel in it. Hello, Viljami. Glad to have you with us again. How are you doing today? Hello, Professor. Glad to have you with us again, sir. I don't have coffee. I just have some water, but I will show you what I got in it. You guys, if you're new, let us know where you're joining us from. But no decaf for me today, but this water enhancer, which is sweetened with stevia leaf. It's only 0-calorie stevia leaf sweetened water enhancement that I could find. So anyway, pretty good. 0 sugar. I like good cold water as well as anybody, but sometimes a little flavor in there's not going to hurt anything. Hello, Kismet's Corner. Glad to have you with us. Been a while. Yeah, that's been a while. I hope you're well. Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing great. Been busy with my grandkids. Had another grandkid just born. And we got Easter coming up. And it's been really cold here the last few days. But we'll see. Hopefully we can get back to more of some springtime weather like we had for the last month or so. Pomegranate dragon fruit sparkling water. That sounds pretty good. I can't say that I've ever had dragon fruit, but it sounds good. Do my grandkids got lighters? No. But I got one that's almost old enough to have a lighter. He'll be 13 this year. And then the youngest, who belongs to the same kid as the 12-year-old, is he was just born here in the last month. And then there's a 5-year-old, another one that's about to turn 3, and another one just turned 1. But yeah, it's dawned on me that at some point they might be useful to me enough if I can train them to where I can take them into some places. They might be able to see some things on shelves that I can't see. And maybe I can also teach them to take them apart. Oh yeah. They get their hands on everything, Bill Jami. And so I got to be really, I got to really keep things picked up. But you know, things get left around and things. So yeah, they've seen her. They see me editing videos while I'm over there sitting with them, and so yeah, they've definitely seen the lighters. Still could not be happier than I am with this Zorro lighter. Strike it up here in a minute. And I'd say it's at best 50-50. I think I'm leaning toward the fact that it won't light. But if it does light, it's going to wane really fast. I'll say that. Also just published a video, a short, which before I got around to watching the episode, which I planned to watch it yesterday, Eldon Baldwin posted in one of the lighter groups about the lighter that was used in that episode, which that's the cliffhanger from last week, which was the penultimate episode of that series. Season 2, episode 6. You were left with Alexandra Dutton having woke up and found her friends frozen to death, and you didn't know what she was going to do. Well, when we encountered her in yesterday's episode, she went to retrieve a lighter from her. It was a married couple that she was with. The man had tried to go get help, I guess, go get gas, and had frozen to death a very short period of time from the automobile. But she got over there and got his lighter, which, keep in mind, this was taking place in the winter of 1924. She pulled that lighter out, and it was a Ronson Whirlwind Imperial, which didn't exist until 1956. So it's kind of funny. You would think with that much money, that much, I mean, they had to do all kinds of research on the automobiles, on all kinds of things from that time. You would have thought that they would have done a little bit more research on the lighter. Very important, the outcome of this episode, and this woman's progeny surviving was, it was very important to the entire Yellowstone saga. So, a little surprising that they didn't do a little bit more research into what kind of lighters might have actually been around in the spring or summer, or I'm sorry, winter of 1924. You know, there were, I think there were plenty of semi-automatic, what a lot of people call automatics, like Hallways, Imperators, even Thorens by that point. And there would have been some wheel lighters, I think. And also, I think by 1924, you would have had some lift arm lighters. So, a lot of options and a lot of lighters that they would have had. You know, they could have hopped on eBay. I've sold lighters in the past to prop departments of television shows, so I know that they've got budgets for those kind of things typically. But I don't know who it was, whether it was somebody who dropped the ball, but it's a pretty glaring error to have a lighter that did not exist until 1956 in a Petrol from 1924. Whole 32 years later. Anyway, I'm gonna trim the wick up on that one. I can't remember the last time I even used this, but that wick got so bushy that won't even let the snuffer close. Kismet said that Zorro is beautiful. I just ordered a 912. What's the 912? I'm kind of ignorant. I've looked at some of them, but man, there's so many. I think it's the 915 that Mark Burris was talking about last week. Kismet says, for whatever reason, people don't seem to appreciate lighter historical accuracy in media. They care about firearms and automobiles, never lighters. You know, though, I think there's a lot of with firearms. There's a lot of inaccuracies in the media as well. Like when they're talking about legal AR-15s, and you notice how they always refer to them as assault rifles. But when you're talking about legal AR-15s that aren't fully automatic, and then they show video of fully automatic military weapons that aren't even available to the general public. Also wanted to see what you guys might think of some ideas for videos. Projects, especially if it's stuff that maybe I haven't done yet, that maybe I've got the lighter laying around. Seems like I've done about everything you can do to a Zippo or a Ronson. I know somebody asked me about a re-wicking video for Ronson Adonis. So I should definitely make one of those. I need to look see if I've got an Adonis that I can re-wick, because that is one of the more prominent Ronson models that I definitely need to have that video in my catalog for people to look up. You guys watch Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, all that stuff? Yeah, you're telling me maybe make a video about fix Zippo's evaporation problem. I think the way that you do that is that you buy a butane insert. And this one, I don't know what had gone wrong last week, but it's working fine again now. You know, you can also get the rubber gaskets, and that does buy you a couple of days maybe. They'll jammy. There's also the bag trick. You heard of ZF77 Outdoors bag trick? Yeah, I can make a video on that maybe. I think it was today's video that was published this morning, which I can't remember which videos are published now, but I think I've talked about what I've planned for the publishing schedule to be for now is to publish a full-length video every Monday morning, shorts each day at noon except Sunday. But the video that was published this morning, I got confused when I was talking about that mechanism, and it's this. I was talking about this lighter, but this isn't the one that I fixed. It was, I can't remember now what that mechanism, what lighter it was on top of, but it was the same mechanism, which I'll go grab it out of wherever I stashed it the other day in a minute, and we'll just compare the two. But pretty sure that this united lighter mechanism is the same as that one on that geese lighter from today. But this one is riveted. Just two balled rivets on each side. I don't know how you would get into that without damaging it for sure. Hello, Retro Lindsay. I do not currently have any Dunhill or sunflower lighters. I'm trying to remember if I have ever had a sunflower lighter. Yeah, the sunflower lighter, that's the, I had the sunflower 6506. I've had a couple of those, or about 3 of those, I think, maybe 4. But no, I don't have any right now. Dunhills are some of my favorites. But I'm going to go grab that other lighter because I want to look at that. This one works really well. And like I said in that video today, pretty much works on the same principles as the Ronson. It's just a different, the thumb lever spring system is a little different. Okay, here you can see, and the design is a little bit different. Both Art Deco looking, but this one sort of has this building look stepping up, where this angles to the back. But the snuffers, the thumb levers, spring, and I'm not going to push that all the way down right now with that flint spring pressure on it, but this one has the flint in it. And it's pretty reliable. The only reason I hadn't sold this one is because it's missing a couple of its feet. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, might have even been Kismet, it was somebody from a while back, or Jonathan, it might have been John, am I confusing Jonathan and Kismet? Now I'm really confused. Anyway, somebody had suggested me giving it away. And I got on and saw what you had to do, and you got to create like a rules page or something. So I never got around to doing that. But anyway, still an idea to give that lighter away. I don't know how you'd. Well, I think we've talked about that on here before too. What would be a good way to like register for a giveaway like that? Just comment on the stream, I guess, and then I write names down. Would that be good enough and not violate any rules, you think? The Jummy said, I tried the bag trick, but the bag won't stay in the case. Yeah, I can imagine that it seemed to me like you'd almost be using a different bag each time because you'd be chewing through that bag some. So I don't know, but I've never really used it. I don't stress that much about it, just because I've usually got petrol fuel. I've got plenty of it sitting around, so I don't know how much you guys are paying for it. The last time I bought any, it was 2 bottles. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago at Winco. That's the 12-ounce bottles for $4 a piece. That's been the best deal I could find. Hello, Alistair. Glad to have you with us today. Do I know Bathtub Larry? I do not. I know Larry Leiter, or at least am acquainted with him on the internet. Who is Bathtub Larry, Alistair McLeod? Retro asked about the Dunhills or the Sunflowers. I've had plenty of Dunhills. I've had a couple of sterling silver lift arm unique Petrol lighters. I've had 2 or 3 sterling silver roller lights. I've had several other roller lights, an auto roller light. Trying to remember. Probably in all, I don't know, of the roller lights, probably had at least 6 or 7 of those, 2 or 3 of them being sterling silver. And then with the unique lift arm lighters, I probably had about 3 or 4 of those, and 2 of them were sterling silver. I remember specifically 2 of them that were sterling silver because they both went for over $500. And one of them was really a lot nicer than the other one, but they still brought about the same amount of money. People say it all the time, and I hate hearing it. It's a trite answer. A lot of times it's a smart ass answer saying, you know, it's that a lighter's worth what somebody will pay for it. But I mean, it is absolutely true. It's just, it's so mercurial. What you'll see a lighter go for one day doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go for that the next day. And something that you might not think was really all that desirable might go for more than you imagine. Copper Zippo 912. Was 912 what, Kismet? Yeah, Copper Zippo 912 lighter on Saturday, and have it in my pocket at the moment. I haven't filled it yet though. Alright, so tell me about the 912. What is the Zorro 912? It's the 915 that is the thick armor, right? Is this the Zippo type lighter that's more like an armor or something? Retro Lindsay said, nice. I had a sunflower lighter many years ago. Was my favorite until it got stolen at a bar. Later I bought a Dunhill roller light and still use it to this day. Yeah, that's cool. Excuse me. Let my throat get a little dry. Kismet says, back, had to help with groceries. No sweat, man. Yes, the Zorro 912 is a Zippo reminiscent lighter that's more like an armor. Okay, so thicker Zippo. Good to know. I'm a big fan of the Zorro after this one. And I don't want to open it up again. What we got here? 25 minutes in. So here in about 5 minutes, I'm going to go. Hey, hello, old Henningsen. Old Arp Henningsen has joined us. Old Arp is a frequent contributor to the DependableFlame.com Facebook group. Always enjoy seeing his lighters, hearing his insights on different topics and lighters and various elements thereof. That hit my soft plastic surface here first, but it did come down on the granite, or whatever kind of stone that is. I hope I didn't damage it. We'll see. It seemed like I was talking about something there before I looked down and saw that old ARP had joined us. Well, it was this lighter. This is, I mean, man, I don't have anything to complain about it. If the finish started coming off tomorrow, I still wouldn't be upset with it, because, I mean, it'd be nice to see the finish stay on anything, but even, even some of the really nice old Zippo lighters with the really cool painted graphics, the town and country kind of stuff, you've seen plenty of those where it's just worn smooth off from use. So eventually anything can be worn through, I guess, so we'll see. I think it's more how it holds up, how it maintains, it's keep working. You hope it doesn't just completely peel off. Azrael, glad to have you with us. Been a while. Azrael all the way from Indonesia. Yeah, we're doing great, Olar. I was just talking about the television show 1923, which had the portrayal of a lighter yesterday, which was brought up on one of the Facebook groups by Eldon Baldwin of the Lighter Library. And I put together a little video on that this morning. So we were talking about that. We were talking about ideas for videos. We're talking about Zorro lighters. Cool. Professor says that he has a video on his 912 recorded. Just need to edit it. Should be out on Friday morning. Cool. Good to know. I'll look for that. Let me go back up here. I said I was going to strike this at 30 minutes, so another couple minutes. Yeah, I'm with you, Professor. I don't remember the last time Azrael was here with us. Kismet says, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back up. I was too high or too low. Yeah, Olark greeted everyone. Professor said, from what I saw, the 912 is a fatty armor with machined hinges. It looks like it can be the 3 or the 5 barrel hinge. So when you say machined hinges, they are machined or at least imperceptibly attached to the case, or are they clearly machined out of the same piece of metal? Video about the 912 when he gets it. Everybody's happy to see Azrael here. Sure. Azrael says, might I interest you in something I rediscovered recently? Sure. Yeah, let us hear it. Yeah, Scott, glad you joined us. Man, everybody check out the Professor's Garage. Glad you were able to drop in, man. Hurricane lantern. That's what your recent rediscovery. Kismet says that the machined hinges are milled out of one piece. So I guess you could probably do tricks better without bending up your hinges. Do people still do Zippo tricks? I know that ZF77 used to be big on some Zippo tricks when I first started watching his videos. So what is the difference, Azrael, in a hurricane lantern and say a lantern like a Coleman lantern that I used to take hunting when I was a kid? We have similar lanterns now that run on propane, little 1 pound propane tanks. But when I was a kid, you poured the fuel into the tank that was attached to the lantern, Coleman fuel. I guess that's what you guys call white gas, right? Is this when Mark's going to join us and start talking about white gas? Or there's others too. I know there's several of you that use Coleman fuel, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, I guess. But how's the difference? Are we talking about a lantern that has mantles? If that is a hurricane lantern, then yeah, I'm very familiar with that. Yeah, I mean, I know I've remantled those things many times and lit them. You know, it's great when you got one nowadays that you got, you know, an automatic piezo ignition on, but I've lit a million of them through the hole with matches. Coleman lantern is the better invention, huh? So you're talking about something maybe a little precursor to that, a little more primitive version of it. I spent a lot of time in the great outdoors here in the state of Oklahoma. Most of it, especially with the use of a lantern, most of the hunting that I've done and fishing and all that kind of stuff in southwestern Oklahoma was closer to home. It wasn't really camping circumstances, more my grandmother and grandfather's farm, or at least working out of it. But in southeastern Oklahoma, we used lanterns a lot, and we hunted down there from the time that you had to be 8 years old to go hunting when I was a kid. They wouldn't take you till you were 8. So I started when I was 8, and I haven't hunted in a few years now, but done it off and on all my life, and for the better part of my life. So yeah, a lot of experience with those kind of tools too. So is there a brand, or is Hurricane the brand? When you said hurricane, I assumed we were talking about something that was used in a hurricane, or would be used in a hurricane. Coffee junkie, glad to have you with us this early afternoon. Hey, I'm just curious if anybody else has had a problem with the like button. Scott mentioned this morning in one of the videos something about the like button, and he didn't answer me yet, but anybody had a problem with the like button on videos? Cool. Glad to hear that, Kismet. I've had a time or two with a video where it gets way less likes than you expect, or takes it a long time to start getting likes. And especially when I was publishing them on Saturday. But then eventually it would start getting likes, and maybe it didn't get as many as you thought, but anyway. Then, you know, you think maybe it's just a video that wasn't as appealing as some of the others. So, but at one point, because I remember publishing a video on a Saturday, and it was like noon, and you know, so it had been published for 4 hours and still not a single like. It had been watched like 30 or 40 times at least. and not a single like. So I went over and looked in the settings just to make sure I hadn't turned off their ability to like, which I hadn't. So I don't think it's anything like that. I was just curious after Scott I think it's his name, Scott McIntosh brought it up this morning. Coffee Junkie said it worked fine for him. Old Henningsen said 5 p.m. All right, good, cool, good to know. Azrael says, well, I'm not sure what LIRC means. Hurricane lantern were being used on boats, nicknamed Hurricane because it could handle strong winds, at least way much more than its predecessor. Gotcha. So do you have a collection of lanterns, Azrael? I have my dad's old Coleman lantern. I may also have one of the more recent iterations that takes the 1 pound propane tank, or I may have loaned all those out at this point. Hello, Justin. Glad to have you with us. Say, do I repair vintage lighters? Yes, I do repair vintage lighters. I don't typically repair them for other people anymore. Typically what I like to do is demonstrate on video how to do the repair. And I also do not repair butane lighters. If I'm going to be any help to you at all, then it's going to have to be a flint sparked Petrol lighter. If I remember correctly. All right, Azrael, thank you, my friend. Something today. You said no, just one is enough. I bring that up because there was a guy, can't remember his name now, and I have no idea. I mean, I'm drawing a complete blank. A guy that I had befriended, or he had befriended me. Somehow we encountered each other on the internet back around 2000, I'm guessing 17, around there. And he was constantly posting about his lanterns. But he also played guitar. He lived in Texas. He was also a Mormon. I remember that detail. But I can't remember the guy's name. He was a really interesting fella. But he ended up at some point unfollowing or unfriending me because I remember that suddenly I didn't see his post, and I went and looked him up, and we weren't friends anymore. So anyway, I don't know why that happens sometimes, but people do that. So, but it was always interesting to me that, I mean, literally, like, this guy talked about lanterns the same way we talk about lighters. And I realized lighters are even worse. I mean, there's a million more lighter brands, I'm sure, than lanterns. So, does it have the removable insert, Justin, like this one? But it's butane fueled. Yeah. Where do you know where it's leaking butane from? Somebody here might know something. You can also post over in the Facebook lighter groups. Definitely the lighter repair group. Also, my friend Donald Hine runs a website called lighterfix.dk, and he does repair butane lighters. He specializes in Ronson, DependableFlame, all kinds of Ronson butane lighters, but he might be some help to you. There are also, like I said, there's different people, and there is a Facebook group called Lighter Repair. But I'm trying to think. I doubt if you're going to find much of anybody repairing butane inserts on YouTube. Dietz, the best hurricane lantern. Is this like how many, does it work on mantles? How many mantles does it have? So when you say it's an apple, Justin, are you talking about like the apple opens up and there's a mechanism inside? Or is it just like sitting down in an apple? I've seen Evans table mechanisms inside of apples, other kinds of fruit. Yeah, this comes out, but is it enclosed or does it just like sit on top like this one, like it does with this one? It's a wick lantern, wide wick. Oh, okay, I got you. So more like a, that seems more like a lamp. I see, if I'm thinking the same thing you're talking about, I see sometimes in the vintage places I go through, you'll see little lamps that'll have a, like a flat wick. Is that what you're talking about? Like a very thick, I mean way thicker than a lighter. Like a broad, flat wick. Yeah, you said wide wick. Okay, cool. So it's an Evans table lighter that just happens to be butane. Yeah, you might check out also, there's ARS, Authorized Repair Services, I think it's in North Carolina or South Carolina. It's run by a guy that several people in the hobby seem to know and trust. Larry Leiter says he's a crook. I don't know. But he runs he's the same guy that has the eBay seller, is it Vintage? I have to look it up. I can't remember his eBay username right now. It's something like Vintage Collectible Lighters or something like that. That's not right. Anyway, if I figure it out, if you look at eBay auctions or eBay listings, you've seen this user for sure. But anyway, maybe he and somebody else is ARS, and I think it's North Carolina. If it's not North Carolina, though, it's South Carolina. Well, I've got a few lighters, but you know, most of the lighters that you see on the channel aren't mine anymore. Most of them get sold pretty quickly. But yeah, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I was just pure seller at the first, a seller and user, but you know, I didn't really collect much. But as I have gone on and been able to keep some of them here and there, it's nice to have a few lighters, and you know, a lot of them have been gifts. That's how I got this one. So our buddy Friedrich Dill, which I don't think Friedrich joined us last week. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, this is the Zorro, which is based off of and inspired by the Penguin Cygnus aluminum block roller Petrol lighter. And I apologize, I said I was going to strike this at 30 minutes. Now we're at about 45, so I'll strike it here in a second. But really, Zorro made some great improvements. The fact that you can remove the base plate, that's pretty cool. It's the automatic version, that's cool. The implement in the fuel screw will not only take the base plate off, but the pin to remove the snuffer, and we'll get around to doing that pretty quick too. But I'm gonna go ahead and strike this now just to see. We fueled this up on the afternoon of March the 3rd, The last time I struck it, you'll have to wait until I publish those shorts to find out, because I don't remember exactly. But it definitely lasted over a month, which is pretty cool to me, to think that you could fuel one of these up just 12 times a year. That's pretty good. There's no reason to complain about fuel efficiency at that point. So let's see if it'll at least still strike, even if it wanes really fast. Yeah. Still lit up. Definitely burned long enough that if you were sitting there ready with the commercially produced tobacco cigarette, you could have had that sparked up and into an ember before you'd even worried about that flame waning. So, and today is April the 7th. So, I don't know, well into the 30-something days of fuel efficiency. Whenever it does run out, we'll fuel it back up and see exactly how much we can get out of it a second time. Establish what its fuel life might be. And I mean, I've struck it a lot. You guys have seen me strike it a lot. Yeah, Viscount is similar. Viscount actually doesn't mount on the back like the Cygnus did. The Viscount, which I'd bet you sooner or later Zorro copies that one too. The Viscount was like the Cupid. It's inset in the middle. It's like a little hole there where it just rides. Really cool. Yeah, I love those. Viscounts and Cupids. Those, I count those as very similar design to the Cygnus. Okay. Azrael says the difference is the lamp has no wind resistance feature. So it's a similar type lamp, but it's got a wind resistance feature that made it why they called it a hurricane lantern. Justin says I was hoping it wasn't butane. Yeah, you know, I would think you should measure that, but I would think that you could easy enough find a Evans replacement, probably the same size, in a Petrol, actual Petrol lighter instead. Yeah, this got a really cool finish to it. This Zorro is automatic, Kismet, yep. Which, I've got 3 of the automatic Cygnuses right now, but only one of them is operating as it should. But I look forward to taking this apart. It's definitely put together different than the originals. The original does not have a screw on the top, but it does take a little bit of getting used to where you can actually just hit it and roll to where it's all one motion. If there is a catch, you can see the little bracket, which here's just a little insider tip for those of you guys. Probably shouldn't be telling you this. Here I am trying to buy up all the cool Cygnus lighters. But when you look at a listing, it's very easy to tell usually just from this side view, what I would call the front side view. The bracket that is what makes this automatic version do what it does. So it works off the spring pressure from the flint tension, or the flint spring, and there's a catch that then, or there's a little protrusion that catches on the catch here on the, it's mounted on the snuffer. So it's really kind of like two different things that are happening, but if you are adept enough at rolling the roller, you can depress it as you do it. And if it's got enough fuel in it, then it'll light. So you can see what I'm saying about that waning. So we could have lit a cigarette off that again, but I'd have a hard time lighting some of my medical marijuana products off of this right now, because that flame would not want to stay lit very long, and I might need to roll mine around in it and inhale a little bit to create an ember. And now you can see definitely going to be burning up some wick. So I don't know how many more days you would need, or I should say, how many more days you could possibly strike this. Today is the 7th, and I'm going to say that's effectively out of fuel, because you wouldn't want to let it run out any more than that. You wouldn't want it to go that low. So I think a month is a good gauge, you know, if you would fill it up once a month. But I will probably make a video on this when we get off and go ahead and refuel that so I can document when it is, and just make sure that we do get a full month out of it again. Yeah, the Dunhill roller light automatic, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly where the catch is. Up here in the corner, I think, or right here in the front. I can't remember what that whole I've only had one of those. But yeah, it was sort of the same way, I guess. Yeah, with the two motion in one. You're asking how much this one sells for. This is a newly manufactured lighter. Apparently manufactured in Hong Kong and sold out of China. You can buy them on AliExpress, you can buy them on DHgate, and you can find a few of them on eBay. There was a listing on Amazon, but I couldn't find any actually for sale. I'm not sure about shipping and all that, so I'm not going to tell you prices for AliExpress and DHgate because I really don't know. But I know on eBay you could get one for a little bit less than $30 in either the burgundy or black. There were a couple of listings maybe that were just over $30, but there were definitely at least 2 listings that were under. And man, it's really a cool lighter. Not only like the finish, like I said, it seems. I had a really nice Calibri butane lighter several years ago, right when I started all this, and I used it up until about 2019, and I damaged the finish on it, but it was a great lighter. But this reminds me of the finish of that Calibri that I've wanted another one of so bad. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. There was a guy that commented on a video at one point that claimed he had one and was going to get back with me, and he never got back with me. But I would be curious. I think it was I'd have to remember. It was I made a video, but it was sort of a roller light type, but thinner, like maybe some of the Cartier lighters, butane, but it was flint sparked. Had, you know, you fed it flint similar to the Dunhill roller light. I can't remember. I've still got the box, but I dropped the lighter off the balcony here one night, and by the time I got downstairs to retrieve it, somebody grabbed it. Who knows? Somebody around Oklahoma City might still be walking around with that lighter. Which worked great, but the finish had gone to crap on it. And it had a tortoise finish. It wasn't a solid color like this one is. But anyway, two completely different animals as far as this, a Petrol lighter. That's what's so great. I mean, it is precision made. Everything, the only weak spot is right here. There's no rubber seal sealing off the wick. That's the only thing. But you've still got metal that has spring pressure applied down on it. So everything is sealed. There's a seal around, well, we're going to refuel it here in a minute anyway, so, or here in a little bit. First of all, you've got a seal right there where the fuel screw seals against the base of the lighter, the removable base of the lighter. Then there is a rubber seal right here where that screw holds that on. Then where this whole thing base meets around the edges, there's a rubber seal. So there's just not any opportunity for fuel evaporation. And it's pretty rare. Well, I mean, Zippos, they're proud of it. They're proud of the fact that they hadn't changed anything since 1932. But come on. We talk about this practically every time we do a stream. The truth is, Zippo would not be in business anymore if it wasn't for the collectible aspect of their lighters. If people weren't still buying them to just sit on a shelf and not use, they would not still be in business. Because when most people buy a Zippo, they get confused. They're like, what? Are you kidding me? I just filled this thing up. First of all, it burned my leg because it leaked all over me because I overfilled it. And then not only that, but it was dry 6 days later. I mean, that's everybody's attitude the first time they use a Zippo. Everybody's shocked that it evaporates the way it does. Well, you guys that have used the other Zorro lighters, the 912, the 915S, whatever those catalog designations are, do they get better fuel economy than a Zippo, than a similar Zippo? Because I'll tell you this right now, this right here, this Zorro Z666 is far beyond what you can expect from an original Penguin Cygnus Petrol lighter. The improvements that have been made on this are, like I said, this functions way better than the original in just about every way. Yeah, Justin says, yeah. Well, you know, it's a legal state in Oklahoma, and so it hasn't always been, so maybe You know, there is something interesting as they talk about, you know, we used to be outlaws, now we're medical patients. But it is a good thing that it is legalized, because it really does help a lot of people. And I've been very open about the fact that it helped me to conquer alcoholism, which is not a problem to me anymore. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not trying. That's by God's grace that I was able to quit. But and I believe He could have helped me no matter what. But it was a lot easier. It really was not that difficult for something that really had dominated and destroyed my life. Quitting it was a piece of cake when it came time. And there was a lot of heartache that got me to that point. And, you know, I'm not saying my rock bottom was as bad as other people's, but it was a lot worse than I ever thought I'd be. It was put me in a place that I didn't think I'd ever be. So I'm very thankful for the plant, and I think it does a lot of good for a lot of people. And it doesn't have the negative aspects that most other substances that people are worried about for those kind of reasons seem to have. So, I mean, it's pretty benign. I'm less worried about marijuana than I am caffeine, for sure. When you say yours still works, oh, you're talking about your Viscount. Yeah, I've got a Viscount. It was sold to me as a complete lighter, and when I got it, it was not. So I'm always looking for Viscounts because I need a flint spring unit for one. Yeah, some of my favorite lighters: Viscounts, Cupids, and of course Cygnuses. Yeah, no, not $100. That's one thing about like the Ronson branded lighters that you see on Amazon. They seem pretty expensive to me. It seems like 50, 60 bucks. You can buy one, you know, that's dirty, used up, somebody else has just discarded, that just needs to be cleaned up. Old flint dug out of it, however, you know, repaired, refurbished, whatever you want to call it. You can find those all over the place. Easy, $10, $15. I don't get the appeal of buying a new Ronson lighter for $50, $60. Now, if it works a lot better, then okay, but I don't really have any complaint with most of the old Ronson lighters. They even hold their fuel pretty well. But for this lighter to be less than $30, I think that's very affordable. I think that's about what you should be paying for a quality. I mean, you know, that's about what you pay for an average Zippo, isn't it? Maybe a little more. You don't pay $60 or $70, $50 even for a new Zippo. So I think $30 is a good price point. If somebody wants to put together old lighters, like I said, I'd love for some American manufacturer to do it. I got a head full of ideas. If somebody wants to provide me with a garage and some lathes and drill presses and mills, and who knows what we could come up with. That'd be fun. But like I said, been well over a month, and that would still be enough of a flame to light your commercially produced cigarette, but it wanes pretty fast. So I think that they could easily advertise this lighter to hold a month's worth of fuel. And I'm gonna do one more fill, and let's verify, see how long it lasts. Like I said, I'll video that here once we get off with this live. But that's pretty impressive to me. Like I said, especially when Zippo is still just cranking out lighters that evaporate fuel, like, you know. Like it shouldn't even be a consideration. Justin said it looks more expensive than $30. Yeah, I agree. I would agree. He also says he has some really cool old butane lighters, but almost all of them leak. Yes, Justin, I agree. I got this lighter out. I don't really want to fuel it. I don't want to get that butane out right now, but it'll hold some fuel for a little while. So, you know, it's a novelty to me. It's interesting. I've got another old Ronson that's the same way that we did a video of. I think I released that video on Saturday. Anyway, so yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's a nuisance. It's, you know, anytime you see a butane lighter listed anywhere for sale as working, I'm leery. I don't care. I'm leery. But like I said, there are some reputable people, like my buddy Donald Hine. Donald knows plenty about butane lighters. I saw Donald was trying to trade a couple of lighters on one of the Facebook lighter groups the other day. And I guarantee you, if you traded him for those lighters are going to be working like he said they are. But the vast majority of sellers on eBay are not Donald. You guys know what I'm talking about. You bought plenty of lighters. Probably most of the lighters you've ever bought were sold to you as, oh, they'll just work, just need some flint and fuel, and when you get them, they got flint stuck in them. It's just the nature of the beast. Seems like a lot of people in the hobby don't even really get it. Just said that apple turned into a fireball when I was trying to fill it. Yeah, that happened to me on whatever that other Ronson butane lighter that I did the video on Saturday. It flared up on me. Hadn't had that happen in a while. Yeah, it can be a little bit spooky, especially I understand what you're saying about your girl. When they're not used to seeing it, or they don't really expect it even, then yeah, it can definitely be startling. You say in Minnesota, or is that Maine? Minnesota? You know what I don't understand is it's legal in the vast majority of states. I think it's legal in one, either rec, medical, or both. Minnesota. Rec, medical, or both in, I think it's over 40 states now. How does that not translate to federal policy being at least just, I mean, at least just let it be what it is and open it up to where they can use the banking system. It's just crazy to me that these people are still, you know, when we went legal here in Oklahoma, there were dispensary owners who were murdered in their homes because people followed them home for cash. They got to do all their business in cash. It's got to the point now where some of them they've got systems where you can pay with a debit card, but you know, it's even dangerous for patients that are just trying to go in there and buy their medicine, and they're walking around with so much cash that they're leaving themselves vulnerable. Somebody needs to do something about it. It really doesn't make any sense for people to be at such risk over, and like I said, it's not just dispensary owners that are taking home deposits, things like that, but it's patients too that are carrying a wad of cash up there just to buy the medicine. Well, that's awesome, man. 11 years. I'm not that far removed. December 13th of 2016 was the last drink that I had. So I guess it's been a little bit over 8 years. It'll be 9 years this December. And I don't have any desire to drink. It's I've talked about it a lot. I mean, it's a shame. It's an embarrassment that I did it as long as I did. So I don't want to dwell on it, but I'm not going to do it anymore either. Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. You know, I've had family that had drug problems and were homeless because of it, so not completely. But my alcoholism was, I mean, it definitely affected me. It affected my family. It affected my kids, my wife, and it wasn't fair to a lot of people. But it didn't get, you know, thank God it didn't get that bad. But I'm glad that you're better now as well. Yeah, it's cool what you can find at the antique places. I like to find new ones, especially new ones in places where I know I can go. It's probably what I ought to do this afternoon. Places where I know well, it's Monday. A lot of them are closed on Monday. But yeah, that's finding new ones and ones that you know you'll find some lighters at. I love it when I find one that, you know, there's a booth or two where they keep lighters rotated in and out. Justin says, me too. That's usually what I pay for them. Sometimes 40 if really cool. Yeah, you know, what I'm willing to pay typically is a whole different story. And that's all because of how I got in the hobby and, you know, the fact that, you know, it's really about selling. But here's the truth, and I really mean this. And I got an offer last week on a lighter in my store for $20. And, you know, some people may look at that lighter and go, it isn't worth any more than $20. And that's fine. You can say that. But if I'm going to put it in that store, and I feel this about any of the lighters, any of the ashtrays, other useful mechanisms, whatever might get listed there. There have been some tools from time to time, lighter cases, all that. Whatever gets listed in that DependableFlame.com store there is none of that stuff. And all those listings, they go through the website, DependableFlame.com/current eBay listings, and you click those links. Those are my listings, my lighters that I'm selling, but those are affiliate links that you're clicking. So I earn a commission when you go through those links. But I've lost my train of thought. What was my point about those listings? Somebody will remind me. Just drawing a complete blank about what I got distracted about the I was talking about the eBay listings, DependableFlame.com. Pocket knives too, you say, Justin? Oh yeah, $20 for the lighter. All that stuff in my store, there's nothing in there that I don't think is worth at least $25. So that's kind of the minimum that I'm gonna, you know. And if that means that there's certain items that just get inventoried for years at a time, that's fine. The right person will come along that will pay $25 for them. Otherwise, you know, and there's certain things that at one point I may have had listed that I've taken out of the store because I just thought, you know, that maybe when I first started listing stuff, I thought that one was a little bit better item than it was, but in hindsight, I didn't, you know, maybe I felt that was a little bit subpar. So, like I said, I never mind people making offers on anything. But I just hope, you know, I try not to get offended when people lowball me. So I hope people don't get offended when I don't accept it. But like I said, I'm never going to accept anything under $25. I didn't realize, was I holding that in front of the camera? I wasn't trying to. Yeah, you say I have a store. I've got, like I said, the eBay store that is then facilitated through DependableFlame.com/current eBay listings. Kismet says the other thing is the Zorro 912 has a gasket. Ah, yeah, around the top of the insert. What about around the lid? Yeah, we just got mad here too, Justin. No wreck. We've tried a couple times to get wreck and it hadn't worked out. But I'm not complaining about the current system. Okay, cool. I'm ignorant of Michigan altogether. Yeah, it's good that some of them will take cards, but it's still pretty common around here that you need cash. Yeah, no, it's not I don't mean it so much as an embarrassment, Justin. I really don't. I just mean to look back and understand, um, and especially as a believer, to understand how I could have, for that period of time, been so fallen under the gaze of alcohol the way that I did. That's all I'm saying. I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to tell people about it. I'm very vocal about it. I'm really. It's not like I'm preach it to. You know, I'm able to go out with people who are drinking. I've even started having a non-alcoholic beer occasionally. Pretty good. I've really enjoyed it. But in general, my impression, my perception, and everything that I know about alcohol is negative. And I know that some people can use it, but most people can't. I mean, even most people that it doesn't affect to the extent that it did me or that it did you. You know what I mean? It still affects them more than it should. So. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm not embarrassed about it. I certainly don't mean it that way. Yeah, but that's what I love about it. Kismet says I'm an eBay seller too, and I knew that. It is difficult to price things and get what you feel an item is worth. Yeah, the difficult thing sometimes is when you got an item that you know has value and it's impossible to come up with a comparable price because there just hadn't been one sale. At least something really close. So, yeah, that's the difficult part because then people think everybody knows that seller is it Lighters the World or something like that. There's a lighter seller that every lighter every $35 lighter he's got listed for $250 or $300. But somehow he still manages to sell lighters. I don't know. But yeah, I understand. But that's where for me, when it comes to pricing stuff, I just have, from day one, I've taken that tact. And I've sold on eBay for a long time, just, secondarily. I worked at the post office, so I've got a lot of experience with shipping and all that kind of stuff. So, I've been selling basically with this account since I started with the lighters in about 2017, even though the account might have been a little bit older. Anyway, it's it's just something for me, you know, even though eBay is constantly pushing you to lower prices on inventory and all that kind of stuff, you just got to be patient with it. Something of value. I mean, I've held stuff for years with a high price, and I've ended up selling. I mean, I've got a few things right now, and you know, maybe they'll prove me wrong. But the other stuff has all sold, and I never sold any of it for a price where I thought, okay, that's not. You know, I'm always willing to take a little, you know, sum off of what I'm asking. It's why I'm asking that. You know, that's why I put it there. If I'm not willing to take a little bit off, then it's not going to make offer on it. It's going to be like the $25 items in my store are right now. They're just sitting there at $24.99, and there is no make offer. So you had that same brand in Minnesota, huh? At Frosted Farms, is that what, Frozen Farms? Or was it just that same kind of device? I don't typically use these disposable devices, but I've been in a position here lately where it was convenient to have one, so I've used them more and more. But I also use plenty of glass. That's the main thing. You think wreck is dangerous, or were you talking about something I said? When you said I get it, I feel like a moron. I understand. Yeah, it's but you know, like I said, I've had friends who still drink, and there's times where, I mean, I've been, you know, friends who were intimately knowledgeable about what was going on with me as it happened, as I crashed and burned. And some of that is one friend especially, my buddy Sid. I can remember him looking at me on more than one occasion like, you really want to be telling these people all this stuff? But I did, and I do, because I do think that alcohol is dangerous. It's not good for you. And you know, there are some people who can do it, but for the vast majority of us that drink, you know, on any kind of regular basis and are getting drunk, your body's just not made. It's not made for that, and you're going to develop a dependence on it. Man, it's going to be painful to come off of it. So, Justin, tell me, what's your favorite? My favorite is rosin. I like some resin, but my favorite is rosin. And I used to smoke about 12, 13 ounces a month, but now I barely smoke at all. Maybe once a week I'll take a walk. Kismet says the gasket is above where the insert sits, so the lid meets it. Okay, cool. Yeah, that does seem like a good idea. So it's not only sealing where or up here high where the insert is still making contact with the case, but then it seals the lid as well. Yeah, such a sloppy, you know. But collectors keep buying them. They're going to keep making them. Collectibles of the year will come out and everybody will be pissed because the emblems are crooked or the finishes are wearing off or they don't have the black chrome insert that they were supposed to. The hinges are all wobbly, but they keep buying them. And I'm intrigued by a new Zippo lighter here and there. This was the very first Petrol lighter I ever owned. We've talked about this many times. Obviously not with that insert. But this 2016 brush chrome was what brought me into the cigarette lighter hobby in the first place. But I'm intrigued by a new Zippo here and there, but for the most part for me, I'm a whole lot more into the old ones and finding them in large groups, unidentified, certain places where I can afford them, and then working them into order, cleaning them up, showing them off that they work, taking the pictures, documenting it all. That's what I like the most. But I get it. I mean, I know some people, it's just, I don't know, whatever that collector bug is. And I get a little bit of it. You guys have seen all my Cygnuses. Why I'm so keen on this one. My Zorro Cygnus. But I know plenty of you understand too what I'm talking about when I say that it's the old lighters are where it's at. Kismet said he started on eBay in 2017 as well. Yeah. I had, I think this list, or the username, or this account I actually opened in 2014. And I had another one where I sold, I had, and it seemed like my feedback was maybe around 1,200 on that one. And this one though, I didn't sell anything until I started selling lighters in 16 or 17, yeah, I think it was 17. And I don't remember how many. I think now I've sold around, my feedback, whatever the number there on there is, 600 something. So, still not a ton. I did a whole lot more at the very beginning. Now I buy so infrequently. Yeah, taking money, that's what I'm talking about. That's definitely puts people at risk. And I don't understand why these, with it now being legal, one way or the other or both, in the vast majority of states, why are our representatives and senators not working to, are they trying to take it back the other way? Is that what it is? Are all these conservatives that are in charge still trying to take it back the other way? Is that why they're not willing to go ahead and open it up? Because right now, it just doesn't make any sense. The vast majority of states. So why is the will of just a few overriding what is obviously the will of the vast majority of people in the United States? And there, like you said, you got people putting their life at risk just to take money to the dispensary, and definitely business owners putting their life at risk because they got to carry deposits home or whatever. It's terrible policy. I don't understand it. Justin says I get my carts and flour from California normally, or Michigan. So what, like you saying you go and visit California and buy you up some rec supplies? Says mostly live resin carts or live diamonds. The one right now has a screen that tells you how many blinkers you've taken. Justin, what there's something there. I'm gonna have to go back and read that again. So do you have any experience with live rosin? Because I got to be honest with you, I still like live resin. I've had some good shatter here lately. We've got a place here in Oklahoma called Apothecary Farms that has the best products across the board when it comes to concentrates. Whatever it is you want as far as concentrates, they got it. And it's the best in town. And not only that, but it's a very affordable price. I'm talking about baseline for their rosin is about 20 bucks a gram, which is decent. Shatter, $7 a gram. Sugar, diamonds, all that kind of stuff, $5 a gram. Really good resin is maybe $18 a gram. I've had a little warning on my screen. Hopefully that didn't affect the... Hello, Crazy Tony. Pretty sure you commented on a video or two this past week. Kismet said, my lighter journey started with a 2013 Candy Apple Red Zippo. Yep. I could see one of those in my head. Justin said, I like that electric Zippo. Hard to light a cig. Yeah, I've got one around here somewhere. You know, it's okay on commercially produced cigarettes. This one is great. This is, I don't know what happened with it last week when we were on here. It wouldn't do anything. But this double butane torch, it's great for lighting or for heating up dab straws. But the electric arc insert, man, it's only good for stuff with exposed product. But it's good for that, you know, lighting commercially produced cigarettes. Now, I don't know, it's going to get dirty as you light that stuff, so I don't know about it holding up. I don't know. Kismet said, I'm up to 843 total ratings, but some are as a buyer. Yeah, I'm not that high, but mine's as a buyer too, Kismet. I think mine's a little bit over 600, which is really interesting, and I know it's because of the exposure. It's definitely not because of my selling activity, and I encourage all of you, any of you that subscribe or watch videos, any of the content that we put out, go over there and follow us on eBay. I definitely appreciate that, but it's definitely way out of whack when you look at most sellers, how many feedback they've got compared, or how many even transactions, however you measure it. I've got way more followers than I should have compared to how much activity I've had over there. Like I said, I know it's because of the audience here and everywhere else. So you guys keep that up. Make sure, if you haven't, get over there and follow us on eBay. And also on, like I said, that all goes through those affiliate links at DependableFlame.com/current eBay listings. And we earn a commission when you go through that way. So yeah, we've been on here about an hour and a half. I got that 20% warning a while ago, so there'll be a 10% warning. I'm not hopping off just yet. Hopefully we could still have enough time here to have a few more of our regulars hop in and say hello. We had Scott, Professor's Garage, here early, which he has been the last couple of weeks. We had Azrael here with us this week, which he hadn't been with us in a long time. few that we haven't heard from in a good while, like our buddy Nath up in Tulsa. Hold on just a second. Let me catch back up on this. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate you saying that. Tony says he nice to catch live and he loves the videos. What brings you to the stream today, Tony? What is it that you appreciate about Petrol lighters or old lighters? The tax here, Justin, it still pisses me off because when they passed it, it was supposed to be 8%, but rather than writing it, the people that wrote it were a little bit naive, and a lot of it worked great the way that they wrote it because it got it implemented really fast, but they didn't exclude the sales tax. So we pay sales tax on our medical marijuana products, which we should not. So it's really high. It's I think it's somewhere around maybe 15%. 15%. I know it's an issue in every state. I know. Yes, Kismet, I agree. The double torch is really cool. I love it. I use it. Other than my, I knocked that off on the granite again. Other than my jet lights, it's what I use. I mean, it pretty much is the go-to, and it holds about as much fuel as a jet light. So I don't really have any complaints about the double torch. It works great. I like it. Let's see here. Crazy Tony says that's a beautiful lighter. Yeah, that's the new Zorro copy of the Penguin Cygnus. Justin says, do you sell donation lighters at all? Like you could sell or fix or maybe make a video for fixing them. Well, I'm curious what you mean by donation lighters. I do demonstration repair videos. Do I take donations of lighters? Sure, I would take donations of lighters. It's yeah, I would accept them. The one thing I'm definitely, I used to repair. I never charged anybody for any repair or re-wicking or anything that I did, and I really would like to do more of that. But with my previous work being in the post office and all that, I'm very knowledgeable about it. But it's not something that I enjoy. So constantly mailing out stuff like that is, or being on the hook to have stuff mailed out. It's one reason why I like running the store the way I do. I can keep stuff listed. I don't have so much stuff listed that I can't keep up with it. So I just got out of, on the rare, it's very rare that I'll do a repair for somebody lately. It's happened maybe I can think of twice in the last 5 years. But yeah, if somebody told me, hey, I've got these lighters, and for whatever reason they wanted to donate them, I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody or anything like that. So, I'd want to make sure that they understood what they had and what they were doing and all that. Everything's on the up and up. But sure, yeah, I'd be willing to take donations. You work for Amazon. Okay, that's what do you do for Amazon? Hello, Mike. Yes, this is a lighter. This is a newly manufactured lighter, which is inspired by the vintage Penguin Cygnus aluminum block roller Petrol lighter. This lighter is made by a company called Zorro, which is apparently working out of the old Ronson plant in Hong Kong. And then these lighters sold out of China on AliExpress, DHgate, places like that. Deliver, yeah. Well, I don't know. It may be better than some of their other positions. I thought it was interesting when they first started building all these distribution centers, because of my work at the post office. And, I hope that they were doing things better, but from what I understand, they're not, the work environment at Amazon isn't any better than it ever was at the post office. And it wasn't good at the post office for the 25 years that I was there. The cheapest way to mail a Zippo is going to be first class package. No fuel in it. I don't typically mail them overseas. If you do, you need to take extra precautions. Definitely make sure it doesn't have any fuel in it, whatever. But yeah, you can mail first class package typically. Most of my lighters that I sell, that I mail out, they are thoroughly protected with bubble wrap and in bubble envelopes and Ziploc, smaller Ziploc envelopes, and then inside of extra thick bubble mailer packaging. So it doesn't have to be in a box to be protected, but either way, with a box or a bubble mailer, you can usually, it's light enough you can, well, they don't call it first class package anymore. They call it grounds, or maybe they do call it first class package if it's under a pound. I'm not sure. It's confusing. Either first class packaging or ground select, I think they call it. I can't remember. They're always renaming crap. Crazy Tony said, learning all I can on something. Learning all I can on something. I really enjoy collecting. Yeah, I do too. I like learning all that I can learn. I don't love every aspect of it. We talked about that before. Like, you watch Eastwad Dooflom's videos, and he's got all the patents and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really have the patience to sit around and look all that stuff up. Larry Leiter, he's got all kinds of information when he posts those things, and the patents and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, that's what I love about it, is there's just so much information and so many different mechanisms and devices, and just, well, you see, it missed one. There's just so much ground advantage. There you go, Kismet. But there's just so many facets to the hobby. There's something for everybody. So I appreciate it. I enjoy it. And yeah, I just wish I had more money to spend on lighters. If I could be purchasing groups of lighters to work on, and that's really what I want to do. As long as the Lord leaves me here, and I do have a lot of my time currently that is taken up by my grandkids, and I don't ever want to not spend that time with them. So, but at some point they'll get busy with other things. They'll be a little bit older, and I'll have more time to work on lighters, and it's what I plan to do. Like I said, as long as I'm here. And hopefully I can do it in a way that's helpful to people, informative. And it was pretty frustrating when I first started that there wasn't more information out there for, taking a little machine like this and getting it working. Or, I mean, it still is. It's still frustrating how little information. That's one reason why I don't enjoy that part of it, the patents and all that kind of stuff. Is that stuff's not just sitting out there easy to find. Old ads and all that kind of stuff, find information. It's a lot. I'd rather take a lighter apart, find out why it's not working, get it put back together, and then you're excited when you fire it up and it works. But I do enjoy some aspects of, kind of documenting, and I enjoy making the videos about it, showing them off. I enjoy I don't enjoy taking the pictures. I really don't. But I do enjoy having the pictures that I can post on the website and leave there so that somebody in years in the future says, oh man, I remember that lighter, that all they got to do is go to that website, there it'll be. At least I hope so. I need to figure out a way that when I'm gone, that website's going to be hosted in perpetuity, but hopefully I can figure that out. But again, I'm not, like I said, as long as the Lord leads me here, I plan for this to be my work. But that could change as well. You guys know how life is. But I do enjoy it. This is, it's fun. It's, you never run out of new things. I mean, they're all things, just these little pocket-held devices that make fire, but there's so much difference and so many different nuances and designs and mechanisms. And really cool hobby, really is. Yeah, no, Justin, if you're talking about just content for me, yeah, no. But like I said, I want to understand what you have too. I mean, I don't want you sending me a bunch of expensive stuff, or I don't want to be taking advantage of anybody. So, if you got some stuff that's really nice, really needs to be, then let me know what you got before you send it, and let's figure it out and what we're going to do with it. Because, like I said, yeah. No, I get it. So yeah, like I said, if you want to do that, you can always email me with those. The email's available on the website. You can post that over on the DependableFlame.com website, or DependableFlame.com Facebook group is what I meant to say. Those are really the two easiest ways to post pictures. You can also text me. I've got text. I got my text number there on the website as well. So, yeah, and I understand. I just want to put that out there before anybody were to send me anything. Yeah, I'm glad to accept any kind of donation for the furtherance of the channel and having those kind of things to work on. But most people that get a hold of me, they've got a lighter that they want to get working. It's sentimental to them. So I want to understand that. I don't want anybody sending me something that they really would like, because a lot of these repairs really are that easy. It might be that even if I don't have the exact video to show them, I can send them a similar enough video that, if they're just the least bit mechanical, they can go ahead and make that repair themselves, and then they can be using grandma's old lighter. And I'd rather that happen than somebody send it to me and then me just make a video of it, and just because I don't want to be troubled with mailing stuff back, which is really the crux of the issue. Is you create a job like this for yourself, then I guess that's you have the ability, the freedom to do that, and you can create some hard and fast rules that might not be so good for business. But like I said, those I never charged anybody for a repair anyway. I'm just doing people favors. And then I'm stressed out because it's taken a month, and I told them I could probably get it out in a couple of weeks. But that was the thing. I always told everybody I worked on my own time. But it's still, people got in a hurry. So it's just too much stress for me. That's really why I quit doing it. But it's like you said, as far as donations, yeah, get with me. We'll figure that out. But I appreciate all you guys joining us. We've been on here almost 2 hours now, so I'll probably get another warning here in a moment. But I'm going to record a video for filling this one up, and I certainly expect that we'll get another month plus, which, like you've seen several times today, well, there's another miss. But once that fuel starts to wane like that, it's going to burn up a lot faster, then it's going to take longer for those fuel vapors to gather up there. But it is definitely time to refuel it. But you are witnesses that well over a month later, can you imagine if somebody filled up a Zippo and it lasted a month? You can't get a Zippo if you're not using a bag trick or a rubber gasket or some kind of closed tank system or something. You can't get it to hold fuel for more than a week, maybe 10 days, but not a month, not even close. No way. And if you happen to run into any of our other friends in the comments section of a video this week or something, let them know. We're going to try to do these videos on Monday mornings. If I can't fit it in on a Monday morning, then I'll try to get it on a Friday. I have heard of spree lighters. Is that what you're talking about, Germany? Oh, I don't know about 2000. The ones I'm thinking of were Petrol lighters that I think were made much earlier than that, Justin. I could be wrong, but they have a little kind of a cutout, kind of a teardrop shaped cutout in the body of the lighter. Is that the same? And you say a spirit. I think the ones I think you may have an I in your spelling that I don't have. Kismet says with the Zorro sealed bottom Zippo insert, yeah, I've gotten a month out of one. Maybe a week and a half on a regular insert, yeah. Yeah, so that's just crazy. Crazy to think that Zippo is still just cranking out those lighters, bragging about it, that nothing has changed, and they're just evaporating fuel out like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I think it's more, Zippo is a collectible company. People still use them. I still use them. You can. I mean, it's a legitimate tool. It's meant to be used. But it is not a piece of precise engineering or craftsmanship or artwork like this